A pleasant day to each and everyone. On behalf of my fellow co-researchers, I'm Graciela Hebreo from NAI Coastal, who will present this action research entitled Project Real Me. Research on effectiveness and efficiency of learning materials, metacognition as remediation in empowering academic performance of grade 8 students in Araling Panlipunan. The modular learning approach has various weak points. The self-learning modules themselves were not indeed ideal. Several students might have trouble comprehending their lessons due to a poorly detailed module. It is difficult to grasp new knowledge when no one is around to teach the pupils when the lessons become complicated. This may add to the distress and anxiety some students experience now while trying to catch up with modular learning expectations. Students are left confused. Additionally, there is also a lack of feedback. After modules have already been completed and sent to the teacher, students are only more concerned about the next modules given. Very little feedback indicates what they have learned and whether their answers are acceptable. Dargo et al. 2021 found that the 2.25% decline in the GWA of students following the application of modular distance learning signals a notable difference in their academic performance. In NAI Coastal Integrated National High School, it is facing the problem of 1.06% of decline academic performance of the students in distance learning modality based on the school's lower report for 2 consecutive years. So the purpose of this study is to use metacognition as remediation in learning to empower students' academic performance. For the key literature, according to research by the Education Endowment Foundation, metacognition is essential for effective students' learning since it can lead to additional learning and boost performance, especially for poor students. The PISA 2018 data and research by the EEF both show that teaching in a way that encourages metacognition is advantageous for students who are performing lower than the average their classmates. This has become more significant because of COVID-19 has caused the performance difference to widen once again. Additionally, it allows teachers to assess how effectively their students comprehend and control their learning to provide appropriate level of help. Methodology, participants and other sources of data and information. The participants of this study were randomly selected from grade 8 students. Out of 333 grade 8 students, the researchers randomly selected 40 students who were given a pretest for this study. These 40 student participants attended the remediation program where the project was utilized. After the program, these 40 student participants were given the post-test. Pre-test and post-test scores were tallied, computed, and transmuted to determine their academic performance. For data gathering methods, this study administered a pre-test post-test created by the proponents and approved by the subject coordinator and key teacher. Each test was composed of 5 items per most essential learning competencies of Araling Panlipunan for the first quarter. The pretest was administered to 40 students selected randomly. Afterwards, these 40 students undergone the remediation. The remediation was conducted a week after the most essential learning competency was discussed. Learning activity sheet that contains metacognitive strategies in acquiring the learning competencies was given. After the remediation program, a post-test was given to the respondents. Results of pre-test and post-test were compared to find out the effectiveness of the remediation program. Data analysis plan. This study used a quasi-experimental research design since the participants were randomly selected, which might have different levels of academic performances in Araling Panlipunan. The data were collected out the difference between the pretest and post-test results of the students' academic performance before and after the remediation. Additionally, descriptive statistics were also utilized, such as weighted mean, frequency, and percentage in order to analyze the results of the pretest and post-test grades. Finally, this study measured the effectiveness of metacognition as remediation strategy in empowering students' academic performance in Araling Panlipunan. Specifically, this answered the following. 1. The Araling Panlipunan academic performance of the students before using self-learning modules based on their pretest. 2. The Araling Panlipunan academic performance of the students after the implementation of Project REME based on their post-test. 3. Is there any significant difference between the pretest and post-test results of the students' Araling Panlipunan academic performance before and after the implementation of Project REME? The Araling Panlipunan academic performance of the students before using self-learning modules based on their pretest. The academic performance of the students before using self-learning modules based on their pretest wherein all of the 40 students got the rating of below 75, that is 100% of the respondents with weighted mean of 40.75 and falls under did not meet expectations. This implies that the students' academic performance before utilizing the Project REME is this did not meet expectations. The Araling Panlipunan academic performance of the students after the implementation of Project REME based on their post-test. The academic performance of the students after the implementation of Project REME based on their post-test wherein 7 students got the rating of outstanding, which means 17.5% of the sampling population. 4 students got very satisfactory, which is 10% of the sampling population. 10 students got fairly satisfactory, which is also 10% of the sampling population. And 7 students got did not meet expectations, which is also 17.5% of the sampling population. This implies that the students' academic performance after implementing the Project REME is satisfactory. Is there any significant difference between the pretest and post-test results of the students'
Implications.
Panlipunan
Metacognitive
academic
strategies
performance
give
before and
students
after
the ability
implementation of
to reflect
Project
on their own thinking.
The pretest
Their
result
capacity
shows
to
that
govern
for
their own
75
learning is
weighted
increased
mean
by this
with a
awareness
standard
of the
deviation
learning
of
process.
8.47.
Additionally, it improves
Its
its
post-test
person's
result is
capacity for
81.525
self-control and for
weighted mean
controlling their
with
own
a
learning
standard
motivation.
deviation of 5.
Planning, observing,
The degree of
evaluating,
freedom
and
is
modifying
39.
instructional
The
goals
value of
and teaching practices
-29.0014
in accordance with the
and with
requirements of their
significant value
students
of
is how teachers
0.000.
who use
This
metacognition
implies
in their
that there is a
education
significant
can become
difference
more
between
aware
the
of
pretest
and in
and
control
post-test
of
results
how
of the
they think
students
and
and their
teach.
academic performance before and after the implementation
For the
of
conclusions,
Project REME.
the research provides an evaluation on the effects of application of metacognitive strategies on Araling Panlipunan 8 Quarter 1 as remediation strategy in acquiring most essential learning competencies. Analysis of the results generally shows that the academic performance of the students improved after utilizing Project REME. This proved that metacognitive strategies are essential for effective student learning since it can lead to additional learning and boost performances, especially for poor students, as what is proven in the research by the Education Endowment Foundation. The researchers recommend the following. First one, teachers to use metacognitive strategies because these help learners improve their ability to self-regulate and manage their own learning motivation. Planning how to approach learning problems, choosing the best approaches to use, assessing assessing progress, and keeping an eye on comprehension are all examples of metacognitive activity. Therefore, utilize this remediation strategy on the subject area Araling Panlipunan in all grade levels should be tried and recommended.